Hi there, it's Dr. Gianna Reams. And today I want to talk a little bit about one of the things that I have always found rather charming about Alexander. And I'm here with an assistant to do this, is I want to talk about Alexander and his pets. So I will introduce you to Cecilia. She's not very happy about being shown the camera. She just wants me to pet her. And I'm wearing my kitty shirt. But among the trivia details about Alexander was this rather persistent perception of him as an animal lover, that this seems to be a part of his personality. And I just want to remind everybody, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe, like the video and subscribe to the channel. They're a little bit more erratic now that it's fall and I have grading duties and university department duties and other things going on. So I just wanted to put that in before we get going. Now, Alexander never had a cat, that's for sure. Cats, as far as the Greeks were concerned, were really more regarded as working animals, not pet animals. All animals really were. But the cats weren't regarded as pets in the way they were, say, in Egypt. You had cats in the barn. They took care of the mice. Maybe you had a cat or three around the property more generally for that purpose. But dogs, horses certainly were important pets, and Alexander had a favorite of each one. So the dog's a little less known, so I'm going to start with him. The dog's name was Peritas, probably named for the month he was born, and that there is a winter month in the Macedonian calendar that corresponds with his name. He was a gift from Alexander's uncle, another Alexandros, and reminder, Alexander's name in Greek is Alexandros. This guy was the king of Epirus, Alexander's mother's younger brother. And we're not exactly sure when he gifted Alexander with this puppy, but given the fact it was a Molossian boarhound, which is the precursor of the modern Mastiff. So no, he was not a cute little greyhound like you see in Oliver Stone's movie. This thing would have been Rottweiler size. So he was a big dog. And that means he probably didn't have the longest life. He got a city named after him, just like Boukephalas, the horse, did, around India. So that's around when he died. Therefore, he might have been a coronation gift from one king to another. That would be about right in terms of the life of the dog. And Peritas traveled with Alexander all through Asia and was his favorite hunting hound or hunting dog. He had others as well. So that's one animal. And again, folks joke all the time about Alexander naming cities after himself. Yeah, he also named one after his puppy and after his horse, which is kind of sweet. Now, the horse story, that one's much more famous. Boukephalas or Bucephalus, both are pronunciations. One's more Greek. The first one's a little more Greek than the other. It means ox head, presumably from a brand that he had from his stables. So Boukephalas was brought to sell to Philip originally as a war horse. By Thessalian breeders. And the Thessalians in particular were known, like the Persians, for having great horses. And so this horse was brought in to show Philip, suitably high priced at like 12 or 13 talents, some absurd amount. And also the horse was supposedly the same age as Alexander at this point, who would have been about 12 or 13. So some of these numbers might be confused, might have been jacked up, or might have been intentionally made. So the horse gets to be as old as his owner. So I'm not entirely sure about some of these numbers, but certainly the horse was an expensive, very expensive animal. And as the grooms are bringing him over to Philip, Philip notes that the horse is just acting nuts. He's going crazy. Horses shy at some very unusual things. If you've ever been around them, it can be peculiar what they decide is a threat. And these are prey animals. So if something is perceived as a threat, they want to get away from it. Well, Boukephalas, not yet Boukephalas by name, was freaking out. And Philip it's like, this horse is unmanageable, take him away, he's wild. Now, Alexander, who was there, presumably watching all of this, gets all upset and comes over to Daddy and says, "You are throwing away a great horse for want of someone who can control him." Great arrogance in this, teen boy. And Philip's like, "Okay, you think you can do it?" And he says, "Yes, well, if you can, what do you bet?" And he says, "The cost of the horse, I will buy him." That's a lot of allowance, I'm betting. So Philip kind of laughed and says, "Sure, go ahead and try." So Alexander, who had been observing, had noticed that the horse was afraid of his shadow. Okay, that's what was causing him to shy and try to rearing. The grooms were presumably too busy trying to keep his head down to notice what was wrong. So Alexander came over and he turned the horse so he couldn't see his shadow, the thing that was scaring him. And at that point, he was able to, calm him down, talk him down, and then mount him and ride him. And whenever he comes back, Philip says, "My son, Macedon, is too small of a kingdom for you. Go get a bigger one." And I'm sure Philip said nothing of the kind. But he bought the horse for his son, and they rode off into history. And as I said, Boukephalas is probably one of the most famous horses in history. And it's kind of a lovely little story. They went on to win battles together, and supposedly Boukephalas wouldn't let anybody else on his back other than Alexander, would even kneel so that Alexander could mount him. And so there's probably a little bit of exaggeration, because Alexander didn't have time to exercise that horse daily, so he would have had grooms and folks to take care of him. But the affection between horse and rider is very real, particularly if you're going into a dangerous environment like battle. You need to be able to trust each other. Boukephalas was stolen on at least one occasion, and the folks who stole him were threatened by Alexander. "You bring my horse back, or I'm going to hunt you down and kill every last one of you." They brought the horse back. And then later he had his own tent, etc. Later, whenever he died in India, Alexander honored him with a city named after him. And possibly he died of old age, not in combat. But if he really was as old as Alexander, because Alexander would have been 28 or 29 by that point. And yes, horses do live a while, but that's old for an ancient horse, especially a war horse. So those were his two favorite animals, and there are a couple of other stories of him. At one point, for instance, wanting a tiger. He did not get the tiger. But this affection for animals is there. Now, I know sometimes folks ask me, but he was a hunter and he killed animals a lot, including lions and such. How can he be an animal lover? We forget today, because we go to the local grocery store, at least some of us, and buy our meat prepackaged that may not even have the bones left in it. So we're not part of the world he belonged to. Modern hunters kill their dinners as well. And they also love their animals. And folks running farms who regularly sell meat have their pets. So in the ancient world, it was quite possible for people to divide what are food animals from what are pet animals and service animals. And of course, as a cavalryman, you depend on your horse, and as a hunter, you depend on your dogs, and you can develop very great affection for them. And it's a common item on tombstones, and they do have some additional purposes on tombstones besides just affection. But a lot of people, kids, adults, are shown with animals. We find tombstones for favorite animals. So the idea that Alexander really did love his pets is not that far-fetched at all.